something we talk a lot about is jail game and decision-making games. And so most players would have been exposed to this exercise before, whether it's just attempting to run through without getting tagged by the player that is stuck between these lines in the jail, or as a dribbler attempting to dribble through to get through. But what we really want to start looking at is our decision-making process. So having two players and one ball between them, okay? And at the base of this, we're starting to think, when is the right moment to pass and when is the right moment to dribble? Well, we want players that have the ball at their feet, so this player here, to consider is where that defender is standing, what their body language is looking like, and how are they moving. So if they are still providing 50% on this side and 50% on that side, we're most likely going to encourage this player to continue to dribble and then assess the next situation. And perhaps this defender closes the space and now makes it 30% this direction, 70% this direction, and it's an opportunity now that is more likely to be successful if they attempt the pass. Okay, so if we come back to the beginning here, what we're really starting to think about is identifying that situation based on the visual cues and clues that this defender is giving you. If the player is still just moving towards them, we also want to coach these players on when is the right time to release the ball. One of the things that we often see our players do is pass because they think that they have to, rather than assessing the situation and making the best decision possible. If the player is still 50%, okay, we want this player to continue to move forward with it. As the defender is drawn into the dribbler, then this player needs to make a decision. Is it safest to continue to dribble here, or is it going to be best to potentially, in this situation, play a right-footed pass across and allow this player to penetrate into this space? So jail game is something that we do quite often in training. And now I'd like to show you how we attempt to take that into game situations for our players, okay? So if we go back to our typical formation that we generally play, we're looking at two central defenders, obviously one goalkeeper, a center mid, a left winger, a right winger, and our center forward. And so we believe that all over the field, if we set up the other team in the same formation, there's going to be lots of opportunities, if the players are assessing the situation correctly, to create 2v1s. Now as we get into open play, however, what becomes really, really important is the movement of the players that are not on the ball, okay? So for instance, if we start in the back here, if our center defender receives the ball, we're looking at what these players are doing to move and support the ball in order to create those 2v1. So as they approach, do I dribble or do I pass? If they do dribble, we want them to most likely penetrate up the wing as they take the outside space, okay? If they make the pass, we're going to encourage them to continue to move forward and support the ball, okay? So those combination plays and decision making for these players, very, very important. As we progress the ball higher up the field, we oftentimes want to encourage our center midfielder to look for those passes forward. And what they'll be able to do is to beat multiple players on the other team with a nice penetrating pass, as long as this player is moved into the right area. Okay? As we get further up the field and we want to create those 2 versus 1s and 3 versus 1 situations, mimicking what we're working on in training in the jail game, these players need to continue to make that decision. Is it best to dribble? Is it best to pass? And a lot of that is going to depend on the movement of the other team, of course, but also what support and what movements are the other players that are not on the ball giving to them, okay? So what we're asking players to do is to start recognizing, where do I need to move to support my teammate? How can I bring out that 2 versus 1, 3 versus 1 situation that we're working on so often in training in the jail game, and bring it out in the game to create great opportunities to attack and score goals.